Good morning. Today is the 8th day of Elul, the 25th of August, and we're up to the 6th and 7th readings of Parashat Teitzei. And we're going to look at the very first verse of the 6th reading. And this goes a little bit back to the laws of the army, but this time with a twist relating to one's marriage. And it says like this: when a man takes a new wife, he must not go out as a soldier in the army, nor must he be obligated to do anything for the army in any kind of civil capacity, such as supplying water or food or repairing roads. He must remain exempt from the army and all its duties to his home affairs for 1 year, and gladden his wife whom he has taken. So this is a very important law that has repercussions even without connection to the army. From this, over the generations, it's been learned, and this has been the type of guidance that young newlyweds have received. And there's even a concept in Yiddishkeit, in the Jewish world, called Shana Rishona. I'm saying it with the English accent because that's how the people in America are used to it. Shana Rishona, the first year, the husband needs to be completely dedicated to building the home. And this is, it's not something you need to tell the women. It's something you need to tell the men. And it's one of the most important foundational pieces of guidance for building a strong home. And many people today extend it for 2 years, meaning that it's not enough in our generation to do just 1 year. You usually need 2 years. And what does that mean? So if I take a Chabad couple, for instance, so the first year after marriage, they won't go out on a mission, on shlichus. They will rather stay usually where the wife is from, and they'll stay there for at least a year and a half, sometimes even 2 years, and then they'll think about, so where are we going to open a Chabad house? What are we going to do? But this is a very interesting thing, because it's saying that once a person is married, he has to change, and this is the thing that men have the most problem with. They have to change the way they look at life, and it's very complex. It's a whole change, and really what the Torah is saying is to gladden your wife means to see things from her perspective. So you have to be dedicated to accepting her model in the home and adopting it, because people have all kinds of expectations from what married life will be like. And the most important thing the Torah is saying is that your wife be happy and content during this first year, and doing that will ensure that the rest of the marriage is successful. It's a very good foundation. But this is actually not what we want to talk about. In our parsha, we also met when we were talking about the laws of the army. We saw that this is the day we skipped, the day I couldn't teach, on Tuesday. So there was a verse there that there's another reason why a person would be exempt from army duty, and it's if he has a new home, he built a new house. That's another reason. Now, building a new house and building a new marriage is almost the same thing, in a certain sense. But it's saying that when you move to a new house, it's almost like being wed again. It's almost like being married again. And so you have to dedicate. This is a very simple thing, that the Torah is using the same word, chadash, new. And we'll say what that's significant in a moment. But it's using the same thing to say a new wife and a new house. And it's comparing the two. In the Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan says, I never called my wife. I always called her my home. That's how we used to address her, my home. So this basic correspondence, this connection between the woman and the home is very, very essential in Torah. And it's saying that in both cases you're exempt from army duty, whether this or that, but you also need to learn from that when you do have a new home, when you finish building a new home, it's almost like being married again. Now, one of the reasons could be that to build a new home is so taxing, it's so difficult that a lot of couples never make it through it. A lot of couples actually get divorced over a new home, because especially in Israel, where it's really, really difficult to build a house. I mean, the government here and the authorities here make it as difficult as they can. It takes years upon years to build anything. So if you've made it through it, it's almost like you need a second wedding. You need to strengthen the bond again and enjoy the new house, because really it's like moving. It's almost like splitting the sea. It's that difficult, and so there's a lot of tension that needs to be worked through once you've finished. But the topic we want to look at is the word new. So here we have in Teitzei, we have this word twice: a new home and a new wife. The word new, as much as we'd think it was a very essential word and common word, is actually very rare in the Torah. In fact, it only appears 4 times. The fact that it appears 4 times tells us that these 4 times would probably correspond to the 4 letters of God's name. But before getting into that, let's see what these 4 times are. So the very first time that it says that there was something new is actually a negative example of newness. And that is in Exodus. In the beginning of Exodus, we learn that there was a new king over Egypt. And this king, he didn't know Joseph, and he didn't know the whole story of the Jewish people coming down to Egypt, and he was the one who enslaved them. So we see that the first time that the word new appears, it's not in a very positive context. Now this is a common recurring motif, a theme in Torah, that many times when a new concept appears, it appears actually in a negative sense. So in this case, the new king is something negative. The second time that we have the new is regarding the Feast of Weeks, Shavuot. There it says you shall bring a new offering, mincha chadasha. And then we have the 2 times in our parsha, a new house and a new wife. Now, it's very easy to see that at least 3 of these are blatantly related to kingdom, to the sphera of kingdom, malchut. The woman is certainly malchut, the house is malchut, and the new king can't get more kingly, more kingdom-like than that. What about the mincha chadasha? So if you read in the Zohar, you see right away that Rashbi, he constantly connects this concept of mincha chadasha to malchus, also to kingdom. And the simple reason is that when you bring a new offering, the whole idea of bringing a new offering is because you're bringing it to the king because he's done something new. What is new on the Feast of Weeks, on Shavuot? What's new is the Torah. It's like we receive the Torah again every year. So it's the concept of a new Torah in the sense of the Torah being renewed. So we have these 4 things, and in order of their appearance, they correspond to the letters of God's name, Yud K and Vav K. But I don't want to get into that. I want to discuss the psychological message that the Torah is sending us. It's saying that there are things in the world that you always have to experience as new. They have to come to you as something new and exciting. If you're not able to feel that they're new and exciting, then either you're not doing the work that you need to be doing, or, and we'll explain this in a moment, you're taking the world for granted. There's a common saying in the Hasidic movement called Elokut bepshitut ve'olamot be'itchachut. Divinity should be commonplace. It should feel like it is the most easy assumption to make in the world that God exists. It should be the groundwork of life, the very basis on which we live. But the fact that there's a world, the fact that there's a universe, that should feel like it's always a new idea. Because the universe is always, in a sense, surprising. It's, if you understand it in physics, then the universe is always a defeat of the law of entropy. It's always surprising in the sense that it's giving new information. New information meaning that there's order. Literally, what it means to have a cosmos in Greek is to have order. Order, where there should be chaos, is a surprise. And it should lead a person to the feeling of newness all the time, of being renewed, of being refreshed. So the Torah is coming and saying, if you follow this basic formula, godliness should be understood to be a given. It should be something that's just prevalent, present, constantly in your life. But the fact that there's a world, the fact that even you exist, that should come as something new all the time. That should be refreshing. That should always be looked upon as something surprising. And the four things that need that type of work are the kingdom. In other words, we could say that this is society. Should always feel that society, you can't take it for granted. You need to work on it. You need to take the chaos out and bring order in. The same thing is true about the Torah. The Torah cannot be taken as something that just repeats itself again and again and again. You have to hafuchba v'hafuchba. You have to turn it over again and again until something new comes out. Until you're excited again. As the sages say, B'chol yom yu beinecha kechadashim. Every day the teachings of the Torah should seem new to you. What does it mean, new to you? As if you're now standing in Mount Sinai and receiving the Torah anew every day. And then your home has to feel that way. You have to work on yourself not to take your house, your dwelling, for granted. You have to recommit to it, engage with it every day, feeling that this is a gift that you've been given every single day. And last and not least, your spouse, your wife. You have to feel that the people that you live with, is particularly your wife, is someone who's new every day, that your relationship is renewing every day. Now it's true, in all these things, there's a lot of things that just seem to constant and repetitive and boring and are not so exciting. It's our task to see these things as new. These four pillars of newness, society, the Torah, our home, and our family life, these things are what make the life that we live feel like it's worthwhile. And that's what the Torah is saying. There's only these four things in the entire Pentateuch that are just described as being new. So with this in mind, I hope we go into a new Shabbat. And even though it's Elul again, and a lot of people say it's Elul again, I've been through 50 of these. It's always the same. It always ends up being the same. It's up to me. If I'm able to see that the world is recreated anew at every moment, and I don't take things for granted, then I find the newness in everything. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I hope to see you on Sunday at 6:15 Israel time, 8:15 Pacific time, and 11:15 Eastern time. All the best. Bye bye.